All right. Good morning, everybody. Sorry, we're running a little behind. My computer froze up this morning. I had to reboot. Whew. For a minute there, it was a little touch and go. I was afraid I was going to have to run out and buy a new machine today to get some work done after the show. But let's talk a little bit about old DeSantis just giving it up. Nobody's surprised. Let's do this. And good morning. Good morning, everybody. All right. I see, James is there, and I see Mr. C. Mr. C's drawing first blood this morning. Good morning, y'all. And here to lurk joins us on Twitter, or X, formerly Twitter. So, it's getting hard, guys. It's getting difficult to cover the primaries, to cover the politics now. I can't wait for something interesting to happen. Hey, Mom just joined us. Good morning, Mom. I assume Granddad's right there. And Tim Lowry says DeSantis did the right thing. And it's about damn time. Because let's be real. Going into Iowa, nobody expected any outcome other than what we got. Right? It pretty much fell exactly, and I'm not just talking about Trump winning, or even about Trump winning historically, because, look at Iowa. When we say historically, Trump won more than half. Trump won Iowa by by 30 points. Right? And like I explained the other day, Iowa is by no means in and of itself a predictive factor, but the fact is that at that level of winning, at 30 points, Bob Dole was the previous record holder for the Iowa caucus at 13 points. I don't think anybody's ever walked away from Iowa with more than 50% like Trump just did. That's a big damn deal. And of course, right after that, Vivek Ramaswamy dropped out and endorsed Trump. DeSantis has now dropped out. And hey, the New Hampshire primary is it today or tomorrow? I think it's tomorrow. Let me double check that real quick. I think the New Hampshire primary is tomorrow. New Hampshire primary 2024. Am I wrong on this? Oh. Okay, come on. This article from yesterday from News Nation says Florida Governor Ron DeSantis on Sunday has officially dropped out of the 2024 presidential race. DeSantis suspended his Republican presidential campaign on the eve of the New Hampshire primary, posting on social media, "Success is not final, failure is not fatal, it is the courage to continue that counts." Winston Churchill. I think I've heard that quote is misattributed, but that's really not all that important. This little bit, where was it? On the eve of the New Hampshire primary, which I think is actually tomorrow, Tuesday, and this article was written on Sunday. But who knows? I could be stupid. I might have gotten a date confused. Okay, so in a video announcing the end of his campaign, DeSantis said, "Following our second place finish in Iowa, we've prayed and deliberated on our way forward. If there was anything I could do to produce a favorable outcome, more campaign stops, more interviews, I would do it. But I can't ask our supporters to volunteer their time and donate their resources if we don't have a clear path to victory. Accordingly, I am today suspending my campaign." Okay, Sergeant Major says, yes, it's Tuesday. Okay, I didn't think I was crazy. The writer here is the one that's wrong. And it's a minor thing. I mean, he says on the eve of, he's a day early. Maybe he was just planning on this article being published on Monday instead of Sunday. Anyway, DeSantis goes on to say, "It's clear to me that a majority of Republican primary voters want to give Donald Trump another chance. While I have had disagreements with Donald Trump, such as on the coronavirus pandemic and his elevation of Anthony Fauci, Trump is superior to the current incumbent Joe Biden, and that is clear." And I'll give it to DeSantis on this. As vile a monster as Fauci has turned out to be, I don't know how Trump got snowed into picking Fauci up. I suspect that Trump didn't so much select Fauci from a group of similarly qualified candidates to do a job. I think it's more like Fauci was the top guy in the right spot, and Trump didn't really get a say in that. But I don't think anybody's really got good eyes on how Fauci got to where he was vis-a-vis Trump's selection process. So, DeSantis said he signed the pledge to support the Republican nominee, saying, "I will honor that pledge." The Trump campaign said it is honored by DeSantis' endorsement, saying the former president is the clear choice for Republicans. Nikki Haley is the candidate of the globalists and Democrats who will do everything to stop the America First movement, from higher taxes to decimating Social Security and Medicare, and to open borders. She represents the views of Democrats more than the views of Republicans. That whole thing, we keep hearing them talk about the flipping Social Security. Guys, Social Security can't die soon enough. It really can't. And I know I've got old people watching who I love and who are collecting Social Security right now. The Social Security program has been one of the most powerful tools in the Cloward-Piven maneuver to destroy social class and economic strata mobility among Americans ever. Social Security took from Americans what was the tradition of having a retirement plan that was part of your negotiated compensation package and paid you a reasonable salary in retirement. Yeah, Sergeant Major says his Social Security comes in tomorrow. But what has happened with Social Security is the money that you would have otherwise put into a serviceable and creditable, or could have, and I'll admit it is the case that most people just are not responsible enough to plan for the future. But the result is those of us who do make the good choices have been robbed of our interest earning accounts in favor of those who don't make good choices. And we're talking about each individual being hosed to the tune of millions of dollars over the life of a career and a retirement. I'm gonna get off that soapbox and get back on this one. So, I find this hilarious. DeSantis and his allies amassed a political fortune well over $100 million, and he boasted a significant legislative record on issues important to many conservatives, like abortion and the teaching of race and gender issues in schools. Such advantages did not survive the reality of presidential politics. Let me tell you what didn't survive the reality of presidential politics. DeSantis ran a shit campaign. God, imagine this nightmare scenario. DeSantis didn't run this year, and so we didn't know what a shithead he could really be. And he got elected in 2028 as the heir apparent after the Donald finishes out his second term. Because the fact is, what happened is Ron DeSantis started off in a position where he probably could have been the choice for VP. And I'm not even talking about how he attacked Trump, and he did. He made some attacks on Trump, that some of which were not unreasonable, but he got caught using AI doctored images to try and dishonestly impugn Trump. There was the video of Trump giving Fauci a kiss on the cheek, whatever. And their defense was, well, Trump supporters are sharing this image of Ron DeSantis riding a rhinoceros. There's an incredibly big difference, right? A political cartoon, which is obviously a fabrication, which is obviously and plainly satire, being presented as a literary critique of a particular campaign or of a particular candidate, right? Ron DeSantis riding on a rhinoceros in a cartoon, in a political cartoon, a single meme, an image, that's not a suggestion that somewhere in history it is an occurrence that was factually verified that Ron DeSantis was riding on a rhinoceros. It is not a claim of fact. It is a statement of critique. It is the claim that Ron DeSantis is riding the Republicans in name only to whatever victory he may be able to scrape out of the election. Whereas the DeSantis campaign ran a video which was fabricated with AI technology of Donald Trump giving Fauci a kiss on the cheek. And they shared it unironically as if it was the presentation of evidence of a fact claim, referring to the relationship between Trump and Fauci. That is a very different thing. Making a statement of opinion, which is what the meme is, and making a statement of fact are two very different things. The World Economic Forum has, and this has to do with that distinction. The World Economic Forum has declared that more than climate change, more than world hunger, more than conflict, war, etc., that the number one concern of the international community, right, with all those global leftists in Davos, their number one concern for the next 2 years is misinformation and disinformation. Now, I agree that misinformation and disinformation are serious concerns. For example, some 50-odd retired intelligence agents wrote letters declaring that the Hunter Biden laptop story was Russian misinformation, Russian propaganda, and part of an election tampering campaign. Turns out they weren't wrong. those 50 intelligence professionals. They were not wrong when they said that the Hunter Biden laptop story was a Russian misinformation campaign. They were not mistaken. They knew that what they were saying was false. They fucking lied. And that right there is the difference between misinformation and disinformation. Let me show you why it is that misinformation and disinformation is such a big problem. This relates back to Trump and the various legal cases that are being run against him. We've got this cat right here. U.S. Army Special Forces Vietnam combat veteran David Lucier. And I want to give the guy the benefit of the doubt, right? A NAM vet, a Special Forces guy. I worked with a lot of Special Forces guys. And I mean, they're adorable. They really are. Just lovely, squishy little dudes. Love them to death. You just want to hug them, right? But this dude right here is talking about, and we're supposed to take this argument from authority. I'm a former Green Beret. I'm a patriot, and I approve this message. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and assume that he's making his statement based on having been lied to, that he doesn't actually understand what he's talking about. I hope that's the case.
Hi, my name is David Lucier, and I'm a U.S. Army Special Forces Vietnam combat veteran with civilian service in Iraq and Afghanistan. In 2009, I was inducted into the Arizona Veterans Hall of Fame.
Okay, so there's your authority. There's the authority to which he is appealing, right? Okay, let's hear. He says, I believe in the U.S. Constitution.
I believe in the U.S. Constitution and that no one is above the law. Not you, not me, not Donald Trump. But he thinks he can order the assassination of democratically elected officials by members of our special operations community and not be held accountable, that it's perfectly legal.
False. I'm going to give this man the benefit of the doubt and assume that he simply doesn't know what he's talking about, that someone has lied to him. Right? Tim Lowry says he left out Tool in his description of himself. Unverified Bear says Ron threw away a practically guaranteed VP nomination and probably at least one presidency. That's probably true. So, what this guy just said, I'm going to back it up and I'm going to let him say it again.
But he thinks he can order the assassination of democratically elected officials by members of our special operations community and not be held accountable, that it's perfectly legal.
False. So, where does that come from? In one of the Trump hearings, one of the Trump cases that's going on, one of his lawyers made the argument, whoa, I got a top comment over here on Rumble. Let me cover that real quick. Sergeant Major says, have you ever seen an ex-SF soldier make such claims about his service? I think stolen valor. So, that's a pretty reasonable observation there, old man. Yeah, so Special Forces Vietnam combat veteran David Lucier, and maybe you ain't what you say you is. But let me get back to what he's talking about here. So what he's actually talking about, somebody has told him that Trump's lawyer argued that Donald Trump, because he was president, is immune from all criminal charges forever and always, amen. That is not the argument. That is a lie. In that court hearing, in that case, the judges brought it up. But the topic of whether or not the president can order the assassination of a democratically elected official did come up. But here's how it came up. The lawyer made the argument that under the Constitution, the president cannot be indicted, criminally indicted, by individual state authorities while he's president for anything that he does in his official capacity as president. Right? So if the president goes to Georgia and snorts a line of coke off a stripper's ass at the Pink Pony and a cop watches him do it, that's not an action taken within the confines and the strictures of his official duty. Probably. I'm sure there's a slick attorney out there that could make that argument, but it's not, right? So yes, the local police could arrest him for that. But if he were to give an order, and presidents give orders all the time, right? Let's not forget, Barack Obama had American citizens assassinated on foreign soil with drone strikes. That was while I was still active duty, right? But the argument was that if Donald Trump gives an order while he's president, takes an action in his official capacity, that he cannot be criminally indicted by the authorities of the individual states. He must first be impeached for that charge. And one of the judges put forward the absurd hypothetical. What if a president were to order the assassination by U.S. Army Special Forces of a political opponent? And the attorney said, okay, in that absurd hypothetical, it is incredibly likely, right? So you give me this absurd hypothetical with no outside information, right? It could be the case, like we've seen recently with oh God, what's his name? The one that stooped the Chinese spy, or or Feinstein having a Chinese spy driving around with her. Swalwell stooped the Chinese spy, right? We've had several senators, congressmen and women who have been caught in pretty nasty places with foreign intelligence agents, and yeah, it's entirely possible that rises to the level of a legitimate need to take military action against that person, right? Sure, let's take your hypothetical. Let's say you've got an elected official who's on the House Intelligence Committee, who's not just stooping a Chinese spy, but turns out they're actually a Chinese intelligence asset. Is there a legitimate cause for a political assassination there? No, that's not a political assassination. That is a directed military intervention against a hostile foreign agent conducting espionage activities on U.S. soil. So yeah, there's absolutely a scenario where the order of the president to the special forces to eliminate a political rival is entirely legitimate, because the fact of that person's identity, including political rival, is only an accident to the fact of the actual political reality and the military and strategic reality of who that person is. But let me back up to what I said a minute ago. This is not a statement made by Donald Trump or by his attorney. This is an out of the blue hypothetical raised by a left-wing judge in the course of an illegitimate trial action. And the argument is not that it's legal for the president to order the assassination. The lawyer goes on then to explain, no, he probably would and absolutely should immediately be impeached for something like that. But he can't be criminally indicted by some random fucking George Soros funded DA that has a political bone to pick with him. Right? What this guy's describing, what he thinks he's describing, is an unhinged, dangerous ideologue using the power of his political office to target and cause harm to his political rivals for no reason other than it is politically convenient for him to do it. What he's describing is Joe Biden, Fani Willis, Jack Smith, I can't even remember the names of the other three shitheads in that list. But what he's describing is exactly what the DNC is doing. And he's saying that Donald Trump believes that that's perfectly legal. Okay. Oh, there's something happening in my chat. Oh. Y'all may have just completely fucked my train of thought, guys. Thank you for that. Okay. See if I can get back on track. Oh, so yeah. So Trump's attorney goes on to argue there are scenarios in which the president might order an assassination of that sort. And there are scenarios in which that would be a legitimate use of his authority as the president. And there are scenarios in which that would not be a legitimate use of his authority as the president. He cannot be criminally indicted for that, because if it were the case that the president could be criminally indicted for official actions taken as the president, then any state or local municipality that has a DA, a lawyer on staff, essentially, can just say, you know what? I personally want to change the course of the United States. Fuck the voters. Fuck the legislature. Hell with everybody. I personally want to go after him. And you would spend every single administration from inauguration to handoff mired in bullshit legal activities like that. This is why we have the impeachment system. This is why there is a body whose responsibility it is to check and balance the executive and the judiciary. Just like it is the responsibility of the executive to check and balance the legislature and the judicial, right? Just like it is the responsibility of the judiciary to check and balance the legislature and the presidency. That is what the tricameral system is about. That's why we have the three branches. That's why there's not an even number of branches, right? You can't have a 2-2 split. Right? You either have everybody on the same page or a clear majority taking a stand. You can't have a total divide. So, like I said, I give him the benefit of the doubt and assume that his information is bad and that somebody's lied to him. But the fact of the matter is he's wrong. He's dead wrong here. And that's this is the difference between misinformation and disinformation. If I give this guy the benefit of the doubt that he was lied to and he just doesn't know what he's talking about, then what he's just said is misinformation. The 50 some odd intelligence professionals, so-called high-ranking intelligence professionals that signed the letters saying that the Hunter Biden laptop was a Russian propaganda campaign, that is disinformation. Information knowingly created and distributed for the explicit purpose of causing people to believe things which are untrue, and for those things which they believe which are untrue to be factors in their decision making. Right? we use it in coin operations, counterintelligence operations. If you can make the enemy believe that you're going to be somewhere that you're not going to be, then you could put an ambush on them, right? If you can make the enemy believe that you're not going to be in the place that you are going to be, then you can conduct your clandestine operation without foreign interference, and that's incredibly useful tactically and strategically, right? And those are the purposes of disinformation. So, assuming that it's not a case of total stolen valor, assuming that he's not lying about who he is, I'll offer him the benefit of the doubt, and to the extent that that benefit of the doubt proceeds, I will assume that he has been lied to and just doesn't know what he's talking about. So, Tim Lowry says, too bad they slipped in that part about presidents not being able to question elections. Oh, wait. All right, that's all I've got for you this morning, guys, because I'm almost out of coffee and what's left is cold. So, thanks for watching this morning. We love you, and we will see you tomorrow. Ah, shit, where's my button? It's that button. I knew which button it was. We love you too, Bear, and one of these days you're going to be close enough to Atlanta that I'll buy you a beer and give you a great big damn hug. You just let me know.